Hello, viewers, and welcome to yet another Warhammer 40,000 Conquest commentated Octagon match. Today's featured players are going to be Brain Damage 99, or Chris, playing as Packmaster Kith, and he's going to be up against Forger, whom has adopted the role of Nazdreg. It looks as though Chris has indicated he's going to keep his opening hand, as does Nazdreg. So in assessing our opening layout of planets, we've got Farron is number 1. It allows for non-warlord units to be routed. Planet 2 is Yavharn, which puts units into play. Elowith is planet number 3, which is going to be allowing players to tutor the top 3 cards of their deck. Ossus 4 is going to be planet number 4, which steals 1 resource. Planum is going to be planet number 5, which allows non-warlord units to be moved to any planet of their controller's choice. Our initiative token happens to be in possession of our Dark Eldar player, and our first deploy action of the game happened to be a copy of Siren Zithlex put out to planet number 1. So very powerful command presence, very formidable when combined with this planet Planum, which could allow Kith to go from planet number 1 to planet number 2 to wherever Kith would like to go. We ended up seeing a copy of the Big Tooth Banna put into play in our Orc player's HQ, which is his faction-specific army unit cost resource reducer, and we end up seeing a copy of Void Pirate put out into planet number 4 by Packmaster Kith, in contestion with a custom field generator for our Orc. So that's going to allow any Orc attack recipient to split that damage into indirect damage distributed amongst any number of different units. We end up seeing a copy of Archon's Palace, the unique support put into play in Packmaster Kith's HQ, and as our players start to run out of resources, this is going to just allow a fantastic opportunity to really establish a powerful early game Dark Eldar economy. The Weird Boy Maniac, which is put into play for 2 thanks to that Big Tooth Banna, is going to end up triggering its reaction to kill the copy of Void Pirate in play at that planet. So it's currently our Dark Eldar's deploy action. We see a copy of Slith Mercenaries put out opposite that Weird Boy Maniac. So Forger has the resources to purchase this. Brain Damaged has no resources whatsoever, and at the present moment, if Forger simply uses his ability to win command of that unit, he can benefit from winning the 2 resources that one would gain from Ossus number 4. But in just assessing our planets, it looks as though our earliest victory condition is not going to be able to take place through material icons. It's going to have to happen through... it looks as though Strong Point at planet number 5 is the earliest that any player could win if they take Yavharn, Ossus 4, and Planum. So we're about to go into the command phase in regard to just committing warlords. Okay, it looks like our Orc player actually opts to spend one of his resources to put a Void Pirate into play. So a kind of curious choice that he did not actually take command of this Slith Mercenaries. So he's going to be losing command at planet number 4, and then this Archon's Palace is going to quite nicely be able to potentially deprive him, say, 2 cards from our planet Planum. So we can see that our Orc happens to be allied with Astra Militarum. He's got that Elysian Assault team, which could, I suppose there aren't any warriors or soldiers in play yet, but we're going to go into command. Kith, I can only imagine, is going to try to want to win some cards or resources, try to choke the opponent of cards and resources. Nazdreg, I don't know if he's going to be interested in potentially trying to kill off Siren Zithlex. We end up seeing Packmaster Kith, to certainly not my surprise, go to planet number Planum. It's going to allow her to kill off this Void Pirate, generate a Chimera token, of course, and then Siren Zithlex is going to be able to be shifted to whatever planet Kith would like. Potentially planet number 3, just to put some damage on Nazdreg, or to any other planet, but the Archon's Palace is going to be denying Nazdreg of cards at planet number 3, and our Dark Eldar player is going to be winning command at planet number 1, 4, and 5. So that's just going to be a complete command phase sweep done by our Dark Eldar player. It's going to be no cards, no resources at all for for Forger here, and it's going to be 1 card and 5 resources for Brain Damaged. So we can see that he ended up drawing a copy of Raid, but at the present moment he has far more resources than his opponent does, so he's unlikely to be spending that as resources, but it's definitely a powerful 2-icon shield card. It seems as though Farron is going to go entirely uncontested. Our only Orc event happens to be Squigify, which doesn't happen to have any decent target at the moment. Interestingly, Chris, Brain Damage 99, chooses not to target Farron, so he opts not to rout any unit. Nazdreg is going to be winning the battle at Elwith, and even though he didn't have much of a showing during the command phase, he's nevertheless going to be able to take a peek at the top 3 cards of his deck for absolutely anything he would like and choose to put that into play. So I'm very curious as to what we might exactly see from our Orc player. He's definitely going to need something to help him establish any kind of economy, just because he's very much going to be struggling in that sense against Kith as she starts to establish herself. Even though Nazdreg could have purchased it once, this Slith Mercenary is now being an enormous thorn in Nazdreg's side. So we do see battle erupt at our soon-to-be planet number 4, current planet number 5. The Chimera token present at that planet quite handily ends up destroying the Void Pirate. Planum's battle ability activates. Packmaster Kith bounces back to her headquarters, and Siren Zithlex is now positioned at Yavvarn, which is our soon-to-be first planet. So both players indicate that their actions are done. They each end up generating 4 total resource tokens and draw 2 cards. Looks like a copy of Promotion and Suffering for Packmaster Kith, whereas we end up seeing a Suppressive Fire and a Daka for our Orc player. So this could actually be pretty useful in helping him to kind of regain a little bit of an early gain economic presence, but the problem with that is at the present moment we don't actually see any of these frail Dark Eldar units in play. That Void Pirate was killed. This Incubus Warrior has yet to be played. And cards like Kith's Chimera Masters, the Slith Mercenaries, all of those happen to have multiple hit points. So that Big Tooth Banna definitely doing a little bit of work for our Orc players, sparing him as many resources as possible in putting out a effectively 2-cost Nazdreg's Flash Gits. It's positioned at Elwith and is now contested by an Incubus Warrior, so it's potentially able to attack twice, and even though Kith is starting to establish that strong early game economy, trumping the Orc command presence at planet number 3, trumping the Orc command presence at planet number 2. We just don't really see a formidable Dark Eldar combat presence yet. We don't see really much of an Orc presence, but we see a copy of Hostile Environment gear on that Nazdreg's Flash Gits, and we actually end up seeing a copy of Suffering played out by Chris onto that copy of the Flash Gits. So it has 0 attack and 7 hit points, and unless Nazdreg happens to be sent to the same planet as it, it's not really going to be doing much in a combat sense. We end up seeing Daka take effect. That's going to be killing off that Chimera token. It's potentially going to be killing this copy of the Incubus Warrior. We see Chris's Slith Mercenaries end up taking a point of damage, as does Packmaster Kith. And just in reading Daka, it's 1 damage to each unit. So is Kith going to end up taking a point of damage? Looks like a promotion saved that Incubus Warrior. We end up seeing a copy of Kith's Chimera Masters put out to planet number 5, which is going to be Aatrox Prime, and after a little bit of a reminder, Packmaster Kith does indeed take a single point of damage, just to make sure all things are fair there. And, of course, the Chimera Masters generate a token of their own. So we're starting to run out of resources. Forger has 0 resources. We've seen our Packmaster Kith player pass. Certainly in regard to combat, this Nazdreg's Flash Gits is going to need the assistance of Nazdreg to be able to do much of anything. So both players are picking where do they want to send their warlords. It could essentially be anywhere. It looks as though Kith has chosen planet number 2 and Nazdreg has chosen planet number 2. So I'm not sure if players were expecting this, but this is going to be just another command phase sweep for our Dark Eldar player. It's going to be a grand total of 4 planets. This Archon's Palace is awfully expensive at 2 resources and the cost of a card if it's not actually being triggered to to derive any kind of combat benefit. And of course, through Kith touching down at that planet, that's going to result in a Chimera token being generated. So Nazdreg is exhausted, the Flash Gits are not, and this is going to be a lot of damage going out to Nazdreg. So this Nazdreg's Flash Gits has a modified attack value of 1, so long as it manages to sustain its brutal keyword. It can deal itself an additional point of damage in order to ready and then proceed to attack for 2, but Nazdreg is going to be in a lot of danger here. We end up seeing a 2 shield icon card, we end up seeing a 1 shield icon card, but the Incubus Warrior can attack for 3, Kith can make that 5, the Chimera can make that 7, and unless our Orc player spends all of his shield cards, then that's gonna be a bloodied Nazdreg. So let's see what exactly we have occur. It looks like Yavarn is won entirely uncontested by Siren Zithlex, so that's gonna be just Yavarn captured and not triggered by our Packmaster Kith player. She's got 2 material, 1 strong point, 1 technology icon. So once again, the earliest we can see any player win happens to be Planum, just because we see a lot of single icon planets in play. The initiative token is in the possession of the Orc player here, so we've got this copy of Nazdreg's Flash Gits. We happen to have a copy of Archon's Terror in Packmaster Kith's hand. He ended up reeling in 3 cards and 4 resources, so we're seeing, does our Orc player have any action whatsoever? We could use Suppressive Fire just to exhaust one of these units and spare one of them some damage. We could potentially see the Nazdreg's Flash Gits exhaust, who knows, maybe take damage. It looks as though we're probably not going to be seeing much event-wise from our Orc player, but what are we going to see? The initiative token does happen to be in his hands. Alright, so after just a moment to verify that the initiative token was indeed in the hands of the correct player, we see no action, of course, played out by our Ork Warlord, and just in assessing events, once again, we've got this Squigify, but we end up seeing a copy of Archon's Terror, which is going to be banishing this copy of Nazdreg's Flash Gits, so there's not going to be any dealing itself damage type shenanigans going on, there's not going to be any kind of suppressive fire going on in order to spare Nazdreg some damage, and of course, having triggered that Daka, Nazdreg is not going to have an opportunity to retreat until the end of the round. And what exactly are we going to see for shields? The Incubus Warrior attacks for 3. That's a lot of damage that's going to be piling up on Nazdreg here, and even if Nazdreg does shield against a lot of this damage, it's setting himself up very unfavorably to be easily bloodied later in the game, and then our Orc player is going to lose a lot of that combat ability, and he's already just really struggling economically, so it looks as though Nazdreg has decided to take all of that damage, no actions from either player. The Chimera token ends up taking a swing, Nazdreg immediately adds 2 points of damage, and then for Packmaster Kith, I can only presume we're going to see this Squigify discarded as shields, and allowing Nazdreg to retreat. We do end up seeing that Squigify, so that has been discarded. Our Orc player now only has 2 cards in hand relative to the 6 resources, 4 cards in Packmaster Kith's control, so we end up seeing Nazdreg retreat, and now Packmaster Kith is going to be able to trigger the battle ability of Eluith here. We've got no other additional battles taking place, and the fact that Nazdreg's Flash Gits ended up being discarded means that this custom field generator isn't even going to allow Nazdreg the opportunity to potentially have reassigned some of that damage to those Flash Gits that would have had a couple opportunities to attack. So very nasty bit of play on part of our Dark Eldar player, and of course he ends up fetching a copy of Archon's Terror from his deck. So Kith indicates he has no actions left, and let's see if there's anything from Forger prior to us going into the headquarters phase. So, both players indicate they have no actions. We're about to generate 4 resource tokens and 2 cards. Let's see what, if anything, our Orc player can take control of just to see if there's any chance of him trying to come back economically or to put some combat units into play. This copy of Suffering here is just so immensely frustrating. But we end up seeing our new planet number 5 is going to be Iridial, which is going to be of the paramount importance now that Nazdreg has 6 points of damage. We end up seeing a cyborg body without any really good targets for it, but we do happen to have a copy of Snakebite Thug, and importantly, this happens to be a warrior as well, so that could allow the Elysian Assault team to be put into play. It could work quite well with the cyborg body. The only problem, of course, is that Nazdreg is so incredibly close to being bloodied, and while the custom field generator could potentially keep him alive, it's still a very dangerous and risky proposition there. But the initiative token happens to be in the possession of Packmaster Kith. We see a Void Pirate splash on planet number 5 as his first action. We see the Big Tooth Banna exhaust. We end up seeing that Snakebite Thug put out to Eloith. And at the present moment, Packmaster Kith doesn't need the technology icon from Eloith, but definitely our Orc players going to want that card draw. So we end up seeing a Bloodied Reavers put out in direct opposition of the Snakebite Thug, and just in assessing our Orc player's hand, this is going to be a very kind of disappointing economic phase. He's already being bested at planet number 1, planet number 2, planet number 4, and 5, and then, Nazdreg is going to have to deploy probably someplace safe, just because Iridial, I can't imagine Kith is not going to be going to Iridial just to try to bloody Nazdreg, if at all possible here. But both players are going to choose where exactly they'd like to send their units. I could easily see Kith blocking off planet number 5. Yes, both players actually go to planet number 5, and our initiative token happens to be in the possession of Packmaster Kith. So we see that Nazdreg's Flash Gits arrive exhausted. We see Siren Zithlex arrive exhausted. This is going to be another sweeping command phase victory for Packmaster Kith. She generates a Chimera token. She's got the initiative token, so she's going to have an opportunity to attack first. Nazdreg, the best he can do is trigger that custom field generator to transform that 2 damage onto something that the Nazdreg's Flash Gits can handle. But as soon as Nazdreg ends up leaving, that brutal keyword is gone, and then the Flash Gits aren't going to be able to do really much of anything with 0 attack value. So we see Battle Erupt at planet number 1. The Incubus Warrior takes a swing for 3 at the Snakebite Thug. We end up seeing a copy of Cyborg Body discarded in order to prevent that damage, and Archon's Terror ends up quite conveniently removing that Snakebite Thug from the planet. So it looks as though Packmaster Kith didn't want to bother even trying to do anything to that unit, didn't want to afford it the opportunity to attack, and Kith is going to be able to win Eloith entirely uncontested. So Kith is going to be able to search the top 3 cards of her deck for any card that she'd like, and once again, it's, kind of daunting. Kith is going to be sitting at 7 resources, 10 cards, relative to Nazdreg's 3 resources and 2 cards. So once again, Planum is going to be the earliest we can ultimately see a victory here, unless Nazdreg himself ends up being bloodied, but it just looks like kind of bad on top of bad for our Orc player here. So battle is going to be taking place at Iridial. The initiative token happens to be in the possession of Packmaster Kith. So are we going to see this custom field generator spare Nazdreg from being bloodied? Siren Zithlex remains exhausted, but Kith and that Chimera token are both capable of bloodying Nazdreg, and in regard to shield cards, all we see is a copy of Suppressive Fire for 1. We don't happen to have a ready Orc unit to use, so this Chimera token takes a swing. We do end up seeing the custom field generator triggered, and that's going to allow 2 points of damage to be reassigned to Nazdreg's Flash Gits. Chris, brain damaged, indicates he has no actions whatsoever, and Forger uses 1 action to ready Nazdreg's Flash Gits. It's currently attacking for 4 because of that copy of Suffering. So is he going to retreat Nazdreg and prevent being bloodied? We end up seeing a Clavex War Leader put into play by Packmaster Kith. And what else could go wrong for our Orc players? That copy of Nazdreg's Flash Gits and both affixed attachments are immediately going to be destroyed, and now it's our Orc players' opportunity ready to attack or retreat. So is Nazdreg going to swing for 2, or is he going to bounce back to his HQ? Things are looking absolutely miserable for our Orc player, but it's entirely up to Forger. What are we going to see? Brain damaged indicates he has no additional actions, although... So at this point, it looks like our Orc player has chosen not to suffer through what's sure to be a very long and drawn-out, very painful, all but certain loss, so he throws in the GG. Very good game, very well played by both of our players as ever. I very much appreciate their allowing me to record this game in the first place, so definitely some spectacular play from Kith. Everything certainly aligned, and Nazdreg never had a decent start in the first place. Kith was just so able to establish that stranglehold. Nazdreg just was not drawing what he needed in order to be able to contest that opposition there, so very well played by both of our players. And with that said, I'll just conclude this match by saying, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already, or if you are already subscribed, you're encouraged to share this content, as the more views, the more likes, the more subscriptions this content and my channel receive, the more players might stumble upon Conquest, enjoy what they see, end up giving the game a try, and of course, send that message as a community to Fantasy Flight Games to continue to support this fantastic product. If at any point you'd like me to spectate and commentate a game of your own, feel free to get in touch with me through Twitter or on Facebook, and of course, if at any point you'd like to help me recoup and recover some of my file hosting and operating expenses, I'd be honored were you to visit my Patreon. But once again, thank you so much for watching, and as always, be sure to check back in again soon for ever more Conquest LCG content to come.